Hey everyone, this is Tim McCann. Trying to get rid of the glare on my glasses here. I guess that's not going to go away, being that I'm wearing these glasses, so I'll take them off. I don't really require them. I wear them for the UV protection from the light from the phone. And being this late at night, absorbing the ultraviolet rays in from the phone will actually inhibit sleep. So there you go. There's a tip for today. You shouldn't be watching or looking at electronic devices like 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed because the UV light actually makes the body create, is it, I think it's serotonin, or no, it's not serotonin. Whatever that chemical is that makes you wake up in the morning, your body will actually start to produce that from the UV light because it thinks it's sun rays. And no, the dimming doesn't work on the phone because the phone still is going to create and produce those UV lights. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about tonight is silence, which oddly enough, you're listening to me, it's not quiet. What I really wanted to talk about though is is how much noise we listen to and hear in a day. And I mean, if you think about how often you're really in just complete silence. It's not very often. If you're lucky, you can sit with it while you're driving somewhere and it's quiet. Unless you have tinnitus, which is ringing in your ear, then it's just going to be you and the quiet tinnitus. I know for me, when I first started sitting down and being quiet and being in silence, man, my mind just went crazy because it craved noise and noise pollution and music, or the TV was on with the background noise. Like I had to have some kind of sound going all the time. Now, what's interesting is that over the course of the last couple of years, that's changed drastically for me to the point where I set time aside during a day where I'll sit for 10, 15 minutes and not listen to anything, usually a meditation, even putting earplugs in while I'm meditating so I hear nothing at all. So there's no outside noises whatsoever. Um, I stopped listening to the radio. I stopped listening to music. I used to have the radio on all day when I was at work. So for 8, 10 hours a day, whatever, listening to music. And then I stopped doing that because I realized that it was a distraction from work. So I started asking myself, like, why am I really listening to the radio? Like, what purpose does this serve me, right? And there's many different reasons. Uh, One is because I was uncomfortable with silence, so I had to have something going to listen to. It was like another form of something to do. Some people might call it like ADD or whatever. I don't think it was so much that, but I noticed that when the radio wasn't on, I could be more effective and productive while I was doing work. Now, when I would drive and listen to the radio, it was the same thing. So I could check out and do something while I was doing something that I didn't enjoy, right? I could do something while I was doing something else. It comes into this idea of like chaos, right? Where there's always something going on, there's always something happening, this doingness, right? Like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm listening to the radio while I drive. Over the course of the last few days, I've not been listening to anything at all. What I did is after I stopped listening to the radio while I was driving, I started listening to more like personal development things, educational pieces, things like that. So there was still something going on in the background, but I had convinced myself that because it was educational and it was something that served the purpose and served the benefit for me to listen to, that it was good. Now, maybe the last 4 days or so, it's not been that way at all. I was listening to something on YouTube, and I ended up turning it off because I didn't want to hear it. And what happened for me is as I started to really learn how to listen to what's going on inside my mind and my body, I don't want to hear any outside stuff because it's so clear and so enlightening of the messages that I'm receiving, creativity wise, is that, you know, I can sit down and I can fill a paper here in like 5-10 minutes. You know, like running through a whole list of ideas is nothing. So much so to the point now where I carry a backpack that has my journal, and it's got a stack of papers in there with 2 pencils in case one breaks or runs out of lead or whatever. I like to use the mechanical pencils. These guys here, the little twisties. And I was sitting in my chiropractor's office, and I ran back out to my car and I grabbed my bag so I could start writing stuff down of different ideas that I had for content, different ideas I had for making videos and things like that. And they just come. Like they're coming into my mind and my being all the time. And I thought that it was so interesting that I was like having these personal development ideas while listening to a personal development thing. And I'm like, I got to turn this off because I actually want to know and listen to what's going on inside now, because like I think it's good stuff, right? And I find it so interesting, intriguing actually, is that before I wanted to listen to the outside stuff because I didn't want to pay attention to what was going on in here, because I had no sense of self, really. I had no sense of self, no sense of inner being, no sense of inner peace at all. And now, you know, it's like there's a lot of good stuff in here. It's like, shut up, I got to write this down. You know, not to mention, it's like we all know the one person who, if you're hanging out with them, they're talking. Even if it's just complete nonsense, just to fill the dead air, because that silence makes them uncomfortable and they think that it makes you uncomfortable. They have to fill it with just noise and chatter. And it doesn't. Sometimes just being with somebody is enough. Just because you're with somebody doesn't mean that you have to be conversing or interacting with them verbally. Sometimes if you are with somebody long enough, you can start to pick up on what they're thinking and or what they're about to say without actually having a conversation with them without words. It's one of those things where it's like this whole interconnectedness of people. Like it's a true thing, you know. I've done it before, and people, you know, just like that thing where you're thinking of somebody and they call you, or you call them and they're like, wow, this is weird, I was just thinking about you. It's the same thing. So I invite you to take some time aside for yourself and really begin to be at peace with your silence and trust you. I mean, I can tell you to trust me that whatever you find in there is good stuff and you will not go wrong. And then, if, you know, when you get uncomfortable, you just go turn something else on. So give it a try and see how that works out for you. You guys have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.